Thanks for tuning in to Daily Inspiration again. And now for our short lesson together this time, I like to focus a little bit on the occult third eye. And with that, a story shared by the Exorcist from the Philippines, Father Winston with all of you.
What makes people use it? The desire for power, the desire to be special. The spirit of divination comes in to a person who is very curious in having powers. I had a case of a seminarian who wanted to have powers. So he went to the internet, how to develop psychic powers. And there were instructions on the internet how to do it. So what he did was copy it, and then at 12 midnight, went in front of the mirror, read the instructions, and touched his forehead several times while reading the instructions and what to say. Then he waited. Nothing happened. The following night, he heard something from outside his window, some whispering. So he did not mind it. The following night, the voices became nearer. And he got irritated. He thought that seminarians were whispering, but there was no one. On the third night, he heard again talking, this time just outside his window. So he became irritated. On the fifth night, the whisperings were by his bedside. There's nothing there. On the sixth night, the whisperings were already by his ear. On the seventh night was already the word. He could hear talking clearly. Then he started to see spirits inside the seminary. And he became afraid. So when he told me the story, I wanted to get a bat. Why did you do it? And his answer was, I wanted to have powers. Ritual. The occult forces in divination is always diabolical, whether you know it or not. And the Catholic Church tells us clearly that all forms of divination are to be rejected, including the phenomena of clairvoyance or occult third eye, because there is a desire to have power. And perhaps some of you, including the sisters, sorry to say, and even some priests would want to have the power to see, because they thought that if they have this clairvoyance, they can feel more closer to God and that they can pray better. The desire to see, or perhaps the desire to heal, thinking that they would be better Christians if they are able to help people by healing. But this contradicts the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe to God alone.
Now, while that seminarian in Father Winston's story was really looking for trouble, and Father Winston was right in being angry at what he did, now compare that to what Father Ianus did when he heard something in the attic while he was working. Listen to this.
How to discern in the world of demonology whether a spirit in a house is from hell or from purgatory. Let's suppose you're at home and you're having disturbances in the house. And I deal with this on a weekly basis with people because I was an exorcist in Rome for many years. And they complain of strange happenings, things that go bump in the night, and sometimes in the daytime, or even at the workplace, or believe it or not, even in a rectory of a church. Now, I have an experience I could share with you that's interesting, maybe another time, but in any event, if you hear these things and you've experienced these things at home, you will know that the spirit is from hell or from purgatory by virtue of fear and anxiety. If you're experiencing fear and anxiety from the presence of these spirits, that's a soul from hell. If you're not experiencing these two, then it's a soul from purgatory. Souls in purgatory are saved. They're in God's grace. They don't bring fear and anxiety. It's just an external nuisance, like a banging or a knocking. And that's what I experienced one time at a rectory when I was serving for 3 years as pastor. I was downstairs. Since I brought it up, I might as well finish the story. And I was hearing a tapping. I thought it was maybe the pipes. So I ignored it. And I heard it again. I looked up and it stopped. And I continued reading. It started. I looked up and it stopped. Then I started to sense an intelligibility because it would only stop when I raised my head. And this happened about 9 times over the course of about 2 hours. Finally, I said, okay, I'm going to try one more time. When the knocking starts, I'll ignore it. I'll let it go on for a minute. And then after a minute, I'll raise my head. I let it go on, and after a minute, I raised my head, and it stopped. I said, okay, now we're dealing with an intelligent entity. So I go up the stairs, and I do an exorcism prayer, and I sprinkle the holy water, and open myself up to God's grace, asking the Spirit to manifest itself in any way, covering myself with the blood of Christ. This way I'm not going to open myself to any evil spirits. And I get the sensation, and I'm not saying God is speaking to me directly here. I'm always hesitant, cautious. And it's healthy to be cautious so you're not deceived by false revelations. And in that state of soul, I'm drawn to the closet area. And I'm feeling, and I don't base my beliefs on feelings, but I'm just feeling on the inside a magnetic current pulling me there. And there's no fear, there's no anxiety, but there's a solicitude, like someone wants my attention. So I do a blessing, and then I say out loud that if you are a soul in purgatory, I will offer up 3 masses for you, and you may go your way. So I did that, and the banging stopped. Now, a few months went by, and I forgot about the incident, and someone was in the church talking to me about a nun who committed suicide upstairs in the closet, and that they had offered Mass for her, and that she was, she had the grace of God, and she was apparently under duress. So this is a case of a soul in purgatory who, out of ignorance, committed an act of suicide. And yes, not all suicides go to hell. Even St. John Vianney had an experience where he saw that as well.
Well, that is all for the video this time. Again, thank you so much for taking a little bit of your time to be here with us. Always remember that if ever you have any feedback or suggestion, please don't ever hesitate to let us know in the comments below.